We delve into the dark and dangerous world of organized crime in Scotland through the life of one of its most notorious figures, Jamie Iceman Stevenson. From his humble beginnings to his ascent as one of the country's most feared drug lords, Stevenson's journey is a chilling tale of ambition, crime, and the relentless pursuit of power. Jamie Stevenson was born in 1964 in Scotland, where he grew up in a challenging environment marked by poverty and social issues. The housing estates he inhabited were often breeding grounds for crime, and as a young man, he quickly learned that the streets could be ruthless. In the 1980s, the UK was grappling with rising drug problems, and Stevenson saw an opportunity to carve out his niche within the burgeoning drug trade. In those early years, he started small, dealing in illicit activities typical of his surroundings. The infamous ice cream wars emerged during this period, an odd yet deadly competition among local drug dealers who used ice cream vans as covers for their operations. Stevenson became entrenched in this underworld, realizing that these seemingly innocuous vehicles could serve as ideal fronts for drug distribution. The conflict escalated as various factions battled for territory, leading to violence and, tragically, loss of life. These ice cream vans became synonymous with the underbelly of Scottish society. What started as a means of providing basic groceries and treats for local communities quickly devolved into a battleground for drug dealers. The drug trade was relentless, with ice cream vendors morphing into heroin and cocaine distributors. Stevenson capitalized on this chaos, carving out his own territory amid the turf wars that defined this era. With the increasing demand for drugs, Stevenson's operations grew in scale and complexity. He began establishing connections with suppliers, learning the ins and outs of the drug trafficking business. His ability to navigate this dangerous world set him on a trajectory towards greater power and wealth. As he gained notoriety, he also attracted attention from law enforcement, but his cunning and resourcefulness allowed him to evade capture for years. By the early 2000s, Jamie Stevenson was no longer just a small-time dealer. He had emerged as one of Scotland's leading drug traffickers. His ability to orchestrate large-scale importations of cocaine was unparalleled. In fact, he was among the first in Scotland to tap into the multi-million-pound cocaine market, making millions while simultaneously evading law enforcement. Stevenson's criminal prowess did not go unnoticed. In 2003, the Scottish police launched Operation Folklore, targeting Stevenson's extensive drug network. This operation would take 4 years, during which authorities amassed evidence of his extensive criminal activities. They discovered that Stevenson was not just dealing in drugs, he was also heavily involved in money laundering, making it difficult for law enforcement to trace his illicit profits. In 2007, after years of investigation, Stevenson was finally brought to justice. He was convicted of money laundering and sentenced to over 12 years in prison. However, his time behind bars was relatively brief. He was released just a few years later, in 2014. But for someone like Stevenson, freedom meant returning to what he knew best: the drug trade. The allure of quick money and the adrenaline rush of criminal activity were too strong to resist. Upon his release, Scotland was experiencing another surge in cocaine trafficking. It was the perfect environment for Stevenson to re-establish his operations. He wasted no time in diving back into the drug business, leveraging his extensive contacts and experience. By this time, the cocaine market had evolved, with new players and methods of distribution emerging. However, Stevenson was no stranger to adapting, and he quickly reasserted his dominance in the market. His operations expanded beyond Scotland. He had connections across Europe, facilitating the importation of drugs from Central and South America. Stevenson was known for orchestrating elaborate schemes to smuggle cocaine into the UK, often utilizing ports like Liverpool as entry points. His expertise in logistics allowed him to arrange for shipments hidden among legitimate cargo, such as crates of bananas. In one remarkable operation, Stevenson arranged a shipment valued at £76 million, showing not only his ambition, but also his organizational skills in orchestrating such complex smuggling operations. When law enforcement eventually intercepted the shipment in 2020, it marked a significant blow to his operations and demonstrated the risks associated with such large-scale trafficking. As the cocaine boom continued, Stevenson's criminal empire flourished. He was deeply involved in the logistics of drug importation, managing every aspect of the operation. From negotiating deals with suppliers to coordinating shipments, he was a key player in the drug trade. His ability to arrange vast quantities of cocaine into the UK was unmatched, and his profits skyrocketed. However, with great power came greater scrutiny. Law enforcement agencies began to hone in on Stevenson, increasing their resources to dismantle his operations. He became a target of multiple investigations, and his previous convictions only compounded the urgency to bring him to justice. In this high-stakes environment, he had to constantly innovate and change tactics to avoid capture. Despite his best efforts, the law was never far behind. Stevenson's criminal history caught up with him as law enforcement agencies intensified their efforts to dismantle his network. He was linked to numerous violent incidents, including a high-profile murder case involving his best friend, Tony McGovern. This murder was believed to have stemmed from disputes over money, further illustrating the violent nature of the drug trade. In the wake of increasing scrutiny, Stevenson faced additional charges related to drug trafficking and money laundering. His operations were under constant surveillance, and authorities were determined to gather enough evidence to bring him down for good. In recent years, as part of ongoing investigations, his conversations were intercepted through encrypted messaging apps like encrypted, leading to even more incriminating evidence against him. The information gleaned from these communications painted a clear picture of Stevenson's operations, revealing the extensive network of criminal associates and the scale of his drug trafficking. Despite his attempts to evade capture, Stevenson's luck ran out. He was apprehended in 2023 while staying with another Scottish criminal in Holland, where he had sought refuge. Authorities had been tracking his movements, and the culmination of evidence against him was substantial. At the time of his arrest, he was named one of the UK's 12 most wanted criminals. His capture was a significant victory for law enforcement, signaling that the long arm of the law had finally caught up with the elusive Iceman. Jamie "Iceman" Stevenson admitted directing the importation of the drug, which was seized by Border Force teams at Dover in September 2020. The other members of his gang were jailed for a total of 29 years. The plot was uncovered after an encrypted messaging platform used by criminals was infiltrated by French police. Stevenson had also planned to flood Scotland with millions of etizolum tablets, also known as street Valium, from a factory in Kent. The 59-year-old from Rutherglen in South Lanarkshire was a leading figure at the top level of organised crime in Scotland. He was once described as Scotland's answer to Tony Soprano, the mafia boss portrayed in television series The Sopranos. In 2022, he featured on a list of the UK's 12 most wanted men. He was jailed for a total of 20 years when he appeared for sentencing at the High Court in Glasgow. 5 other men, David Bilsland, Paul Bowes, Gerard Carbin, Ryan McPhee and Lloyd Cross, also pled guilty to serious organised crime and drug offences. Carbin was jailed for 7 years. Bilsland, Bowes and Cross were each jailed for 6 years, and McPhee was jailed for 4 years. Lewis Connor, 27, was jailed for 3 years in July after the investigation found encrypted phone messages which proved he had set fire to properties and vehicles across central Scotland. So, what does the future hold for Jamie "Iceman" Stevenson? His life story serves as a cautionary tale about the seductive nature of the drug trade. It highlights the risks that come with pursuing power and wealth through illegal means. While some criminals manage to evade justice for years, others find themselves ensnared in the very system they sought to exploit. As we look back on Stevenson's life, it becomes clear that the cycle of crime is often relentless. The allure of quick riches can be difficult to resist, even for those who have experienced the harsh realities of imprisonment. Stevenson's journey through the criminal underworld illustrates the challenges faced by law enforcement in tackling organized crime, as well as the complexities of human nature and ambition. Thank you for joining us in this exploration of the life of Jamie Iceman Stevenson. If you found this video insightful, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe for more true crime content, and share your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think about Stevenson's criminal career? Let us know. Until next time, stay safe.